Hi, Ghosties. I'm Macy.
And I'm Natalie.
And something Natalie's been interested in for literally ever since before we even started this is Appalachia.
Yes. I don't know if I'd say interested or terrified of. I don't have a vast knowledge, but what I do know is that everybody on TikTok says if you're in Appalachia at all, anywhere in the general vicinity, if you see something, no, you didn't. If you hear something, no, you didn't. And they just say like, run.
Yeah.
Or not run, but I think you're just supposed to walk and look straight ahead no matter what. And that makes me so uneasy.
The unknown of it really spooks me.
Yes. And this topic on TikTok, of course, got me interested in like mimics and things like that.
Yeah.
And that's how I learned all these things because I didn't know that stuff before. And then all of these creators on TikTok that live in Appalachia, they're like, a mimic is outside my house and I always have to ignore him. And I'm like, what do you mean?
Those videos really creep me out. Some of them might not be real, but still it's like it gives me the suspense feeling.
Yes, there's this video currently on TikTok of this girl saying that her mom is not home. She knows her mom is not home. She is at some appointment. Her bedroom door's closed and someone's going, "Hey, Sarah."
You
whatever
sent me
her name
that
is.
video.
Oh, it scared me so bad.
Yes.
So bad. So I am very intrigued with Appalachia, but it is one of those things that I've talked about before that I won't partake in. I won't pursue any more knowledge besides this. Okay. I'm not going to go to Appalachia.
Really? No
Never.
part of Appalachia.
No.
It's like the entire East Coast.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
I'm very excited about this.
We'll be doing another episode on some of the legends in the area.
There's a lot
later.
Huh?
But today I thought we would just do kind of a little spooky tea party episode full of scary stories that I found located mostly on the trail, the Appalachian Trail, but in Appalachia in general.
I'm very excited. That's my favorite thing to do is listen to people's stories. Sometimes I'll go on someone's page while I'm like cleaning or something. I'll prop my phone up and I'll have it on full volume and I'll just, every time their video ends, I scroll and I just listen to them talk about it.
Our tea is a repeat.
Again.
Republic of Tea Blueberry.
Blueberry.
Yep.
Let's go. It's very good. A little bit too sweet for me right now because I just had a bunch of Nerds gummy clusters.
Oh, that's not a good combo. And you just like poured in the sugar too for your tea.
I know. Hey, we have the same amount of sugar. I saw a tweet that said, "We need kibble for ADHD people." and someone quoted it with a picture of Nerds clusters and I was like, oh my God. And then
that makes sense.
Another person quoted it with these little, I don't know if you've ever had them. They're mini Reese's cups. I guess you put them on Sundays and things, but you can get them at HEB and you just put them in a bag and weigh them. I had a phase for a while.
Is that just all you ate?
It's kibble. It's what it is to me. I just like, and I'm not diagnosed with anything, but I felt very targeted in that moment.
That's hilarious.
Okay. Let's get back to the hauntings.
Tales. The Appalachian Mountains are old. So old, in fact, that they predate the rings of Saturn and trees. The entire species of trees are younger than the Appalachian Mountains.
How?
Are you asking me to explain? Because I'm not a geologist. I'm not sure. But
I did take a geology class in college.
So I should be asking you.
Did not do well. That was probably the only class I didn't do well.
Okay.
Ever
Well, then never
in my
mind.
life.
I will not ask you.
Because I did not care.
That's hilarious. Maybe you should have cared. It was
I
priming
know.
you for something like this.
No.
So trees are 370 million years old. The start of this species of trees, the Appalachian Mountains, are supposedly 1.2 billion years old.
How do we... I'm not even going to ask how
and
we
they're
know.
not as tall anymore. They used to be much taller.
Yeah.
But over time, the wind and stuff just kind of wore them down to the size that they are now.
Do you believe that everything on Earth used to be huge? Like giants and things?
I don't know. I've seen some things. I'm like, I could be convinced.
Where
but
a mountain,
I don't know.
Yeah, like where a mountain looks like a base of a tree. And it's like, what if that was a tree? I
I've
don't
seen
know.
them. I don't know. I don't
could
know
be
where
convinced,
I stand.
I think.
I think I could too. Anyway, Appalachia, they are connected to the mountains in the Scottish Highlands. So they start in the southern US
Mm-hmm.
and they work their way up all the way through, I think, Maine. And then you can see little bits and pieces like some of the islands out toward Europe.
Uh-huh.
And then you can see them continue up in the Scottish Highlands. So they all used to be connected.
I had no idea.
Isn't that intriguing?
That's horrifying.
Why?
I don't know.
Okay.
They're just so big.
Yeah.
And it's just too much.
Very vast.
Yeah.
Very vast. And with such ancient land, there are a number of strange encounters and stories that happen in and around this mountain range for all of eternity. The Appalachian Trail is a place that has blown up in the paranormal world recently. I mean, as you have probably noticed. And stories of weird noises and ominous rules to follow while out on the trail or in the woods have been spread across social media by people who have lived there their entire lives. Now, many people believe that phrases, like you said, if you see something, no you didn't. If you hear something, no you didn't, are just things people say to keep you out of trouble. Don't be too nosy and mind your own business, basically. There were a good many stills out there with people making moonshine, like out in the woods. And so it was probably best you didn't come upon one.
True. Okay.
They would probably hurt you for catching them in the act of something illegal. Or maybe it was just a warning by parents to keep their kids out of the woods and away from dangerous predators at night. So like animals.
Yeah, could be.
But one thing is for sure. There are an abundance of unexplainable stories by people who have visited or lived in Appalachia. And here are some of those encounters that made the hair on the back of my neck stand.
I'm so excited.
In 2019, my husband and I were hiking the Appalachian Trail through New York. I became injured and made my way off the trail to rest while he went ahead to explore a little bit. That is when he came upon something strange. He saw a deer cut perfectly in half, lying in the middle of the trail, but only the back half was left. He said it looked like it was cut with a laser, so precise. No blood, no jagged cuts or anything, just the back half of a baby doe left perfectly there. He said he immediately noped out of there and started running. Survival instincts kicked in hard, so he didn't stay to investigate or take pictures. We still talk about it and have no idea how it was cut and who could have done it, let alone why.
What does that even mean?
I don't know, but it's like they cut it in half and then dragged the first half away, left no blood, and just laying in the middle of the trail. So precise, such a clean cut.
So this is taking a different turn than I thought, because
there are going to be some that you would assume, but I put all the freaky stories that I found in here.
That's just like, that takes my brain to like aliens. Yes.
There are a lot of alien sightings and activity and weird cryptid things going on in Appalachia in general, just that whole area.
I don't even know what to make of that though. Just fully, I don't know. Is it, I keep trying to think of like a scientific reason, like, oh, I have nothing.
I don't know. I truly don't know, especially because it was such a precise cut.
But I will say that doesn't scare me as much because it's like, oh, another animal ate it. Sad, yes, but
you would think they wouldn't just take the front, you know? You'd think if they were hungry and trying to feed themselves, they would take the whole thing. I don't know. It was weird. It made me feel strange inside, and so I put it here.
Maybe there's a mad scientist trying to create like a half deer, half person.
Ew, I hate
like
that.
Human centipede. I've never seen that, by the way.
I refuse to.
I reference it a lot and never seen it.
No, I won't. I won't. Let us know in the comments if you have.
No.
I won't. Story number 2. While out on a section hike in Georgia, this woman had just eaten dinner and was just sitting and chatting with other hikers in her area. They were staring up at the stars when they noticed a satellite moving across the clear skies. Suddenly, what she thought was a satellite stopped in the middle of its path across the sky and shot back in the opposite direction. She was stunned, but before she could even say a word, its erratic movements began again. First, zooming back in its original direction, then down toward the skyline, and back straight up until it disappeared from view. She whispered to the group she was with, "Did you guys see that too?" Before she could even finish her sentence, they all replied in a whispered agreement.
See,
weird.
That is exactly my experience with the 2 times that I promise I saw like a UFO thing. Yes, it's just like, it'll be there and it goes like zoom, zoom, zoom. Like, what does it mean?
No scientific reason for it, anything to be able to move in that way.
No, because if it's an airplane, I'm constantly, that's one thing. You always think something's a ghost. Anytime I see any light in the sky, it could be a plane, clear as day, and I'm like, oh, but is it? And I'm always looking for aliens.
You know what my first thought is?
What?
Flying car.
Oh my God.
Harry Potter.
Of course, no. Mine is always, that's a UFO. Every plane I see, I watch it and I'm like, and then it moves normal and I'm like, oh, that's a plane. But that, I believe.
Yeah, I put these together like one after another because I felt like the first one was very alien.
Mm-hmm.
I would go to Appalachia to see some alien activity. I'd like to see. I've never seen a UFO.
I wouldn't go seeking it out.
No,
because what if they take you?
They beam you up.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to do an episode on aliens because there are some alien abduction stories that are just beyond me.
Yep. I'm into it. I'm really into it.
Adding it to the list right now.
Because to me, there is absolutely no way that we are the only people like on Earth. Like that's it.
On
Just Earth? Or not Earth, but
in the
like,
universe or
yes, like it's just Earth.
the vast expanse of space.
Can't be. But at the same time, my brain literally short circuits when I think about
It's hard to comprehend
yes.
another species, another life form, intelligent life form
Yeah. So
Yet.
I mean,
that they've told us anyway.
mm-hmm.
I believe they know something. There's whole congressional hearings about them saying, yeah, we have alien life. Anyway,
It's like, girl, we know.
back to where we're at here. I don't remember who I was talking to, but they were like, why is nobody talking about this? I was like, because we know.
We've known the whole time. They
Nobody's
didn't have
surprised.
to tell us.
I don't know anybody who's surprised. If I said something, they'd be like, oh, yeah, okay.
Yes, because
That just confirms what I already knew.
duh. Yeah. Anyways, Appalachia.
Appalachia. When I was a kid, I'd hear my name called, sometimes in my mom's voice, and sometimes in a voice that wasn't familiar to me at all. It always came from the wrong direction, deeper in the woods and away from the path that took me back home. Something was calling him out there.
Hey, I've experienced that. We've talked about it, and people in the comments agreed about me hearing like people go like, Natalie.
Yes, but that's different. He's hearing it out loud from far away in the woods. It's one thing to hear it kind of as a whisper in your ear, but well, I mean, that's spooky enough. I'd never want to experience that. But you're out in the woods, you're on a walk, walking back home, and you hear from behind you someone calling you. Like you suddenly hear me, like, Natalie, come here.
What's scarier to you? Hearing someone's voice that you know, like hearing my voice from far away, or hearing an unknown person, but you know I'm not there. What would freak you out more?
I think hearing a known voice, because in my mind I could rationalize, maybe it's someone I've met before and I just don't remember them. In my mind I could just be like, oh, maybe it's someone I've met before.
Yeah, but if it's me
you and I know that you're 1,000 miles away back home or something, no.
Okay, yeah, I'm
I'd
on
probably,
board.
honestly,
I agree.
faint. Like
I would too. Sometimes I've never fainted, knock on wood.
Yeah.
But sometimes when you tell really, really scary stories, I feel like I'm gonna faint.
You just get lightheaded and you see spots?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are we dramatic or is that a thing?
I think it's a thing.
I hope so.
Or like those Instagram videos, my heart literally falls to my toes. Like my toes start tingling whenever something like is like a jump scare.
I hate those videos where it's like making you like follow something or you're looking really closely trying to look at what they're showing and all of a sudden it's just like, bah! Like
Yes.
I hate those so much. It
Yes.
makes me mad.
Me too.
I usually close my app out 'cause it's like, how dare you?
Me too.
But what do you think it was out there in the woods? Luring him away from home?
I don't
Deeper
know.
into the woods?
I don't know. It's Appalachia. I don't go seeking the information of the actual creatures. I just know that something weird's happening and then I just keep scrolling because I don't want to know.
Oh yeah, we're definitely doing a Legends and Lore of Appalachia episode soon.
We need to, but I have no idea. A mimic of some sort? If that's even the same thing.
I have no clue either. And I've never been out there. I'm not one to walk in the woods
No.
anyway. So I've never really experienced anything like that.
Mhm.
Any scary happenings in the woods.
See, I used to, because we used to live on some like land and I would walk.
Yes, but
I would
that
take
was
walks.
different.
I
We
wouldn't
weren't
do
like-
it now.
We were walking around in cleared path that we've walked millions of times.
Yes. I
don't
would
know.
not do it now.
Really.
Really? Because
I
of
wouldn't
this.
do it alone. I
No,
wouldn't do it
because
alone.
of this podcast. I will not. The Mimics
I'm so
episode
sorry.
and everything we've talked about in the woods, I won't do it.
There's some freaky stuff out there.
Yeah.
Moving on. My two friends and I were at a lake house in the mountains. My friend and I did not sleep at all one night because we heard window taps, pots and pans rattling, and someone calling my dead name. The voice yelled, "Will," intermittently all night until the sun began to rise, and then it was silent. My friend that we were staying with slept like a log and shrugged it off. Seems it was normal. Another experience was in my aunt's house in Virginia. Everyone was asleep, and I mean snoring sound asleep. I checked before sneaking out to smoke. I went around the mosquito net enclosed patio, down the massive wooden patio stairs, into the dark of the yard, and heard someone go, "Hello, William," about 40 feet further into the dark wooded area. I backed up so quickly into her house again and never said a word of it.
I'm sorry. After the first little part, I was already scared, but then hello, William, I'm sick. First of all, how did they know the dead name? If nobody is
Right?
using your previous name, how does it know? Because if
That
you're with
really
your
scared
friends,
me.
they're not going to call you Will. That's not your name.
Yeah.
What does it know? And
I
how?
know. And in two separate occasions, something out there in the woods
Knows.
wants them.
Why?
I don't know, but that one really scared me.
It actually, because I can grasped the concept of mimics and things. And if you're saying, oh, Macy, 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 and then something out there says it. Yeah.
But to know a name, yeah.
Nobody's calling you that. It knows you.
Yes. It's more intelligent than I ascribed it before.
Yes.
And so that really scared me.
That's way more terrifying than I thought.
An intelligent being like that scares me a lot more than like an animal.
Or like something mimicking you. Or mimicking like what you've said.
Yes.
Yes. Me. Oh my God.
That can think and strategize. Yes.
Strategize.
Sorry.
Woohoo. That's too much.
That one frightened me. I have lived in East Tennessee my whole life up until about a year ago, and there were some things I saw out in the woods that I'm afraid to even speak of. There was an old graveyard from the 1700s off this back road with an old beat-up sign that you could barely read. We went down the path. Yes, a path. It wasn't a road. Wasn't even a dirt road. Just leaves. It was Halloween, so my friend Erin and I decided to go back to this graveyard that we found the year before to scare ourselves. We made our way down this path, crossing over water in 4-wheel drive and driving about a quarter of a mile until we reached the hill. We got out of the car and walked up the hill when we finally reached the graveyard. We walked around for a bit, and when we were finally ready to leave, we walked back to the car and hopped in. Down the hill, and right before we reached the water, Erin looks at me and asks if I want to sit out there in the dark for a minute. It's Halloween, so of course I do. We shut the car off and turn off the headlights and are immersed in complete darkness.
No.
Yeah, same.
Mm-mm.
The only thing I'm able to see is the red light from the charging port. Erin rolled all of the windows down just a few inches and yelled out the driver's side something like, "Guardians of the East, South, North, and West." So just something dumb.
Uh-huh.
As soon as he yelled something, all I could hear was this incredibly loud screaming growl. It was like an animal roar and a baby cry all in one, and it was terrifying. We both turned our heads to my window and could see this huge creature, 8 to 10 feet tall, blacker than the night, standing there with massive wings. I could only make out the outline, but screamed to my friend to get me out of there, and I screamed over and over until Erin was able to get the car started and drive back to the main road. This was the first paranormal encounter I had ever had, and I'm telling you, there is something out there in those woods.
What?
I don't know. Some kind of creature, cryptid, that does not like
to be taunted? See,
You don't believe in cryptids and creatures. I knew that would take you out, but I do. I believe that there are things out there, especially in the woods, in ancient places like Appalachia. No, you can't convince me otherwise. Unless you have just scraped the entire ground everywhere.
Maybe I need an experience with one. I don't want one.
Not with that thing.
I don't want one. But as soon as it's a creature thing with like wings or... I don't know. I'm not convinced.
You upset me.
I'm sorry. I'm probably upsetting a bunch of people, but I don't know why I can't be convinced. But I believe in, again, black-eyed children. Don't know why.
We'll do a cryptid episode soon.
Okay.
I want to.
I also believe in mermaids, so.
Yeah, that's also, what is wrong with you?
I don't know. If they're an earthbound cryptid, I'm like, no, I don't know.
Do you believe there is still mystery in the sea, just not on land?
Oh, no, I think there's mystery on land, but I just don't think it is creatures with wings and things, except for dragons. So I'm a selective believer.
Okay, I was going to say.
Because there's a handful of things I believe in, but I don't know. The winged demon thing just kind of was like, oh.
My first thought was like Mothman or something like that. I don't remember where Mothman is.
I don't even know. I don't know.
Yeah, this person was in Tennessee, so I don't remember where Mothman is. But that's kind of the vibe I was getting. Just this giant winged demon creature thing. Yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
It scared me.
I mean, I'm a little bit freaked out, but.
Especially thinking about being out there in the dark and it screams at you. This guttural, strange noise that you've never heard before.
Yeah, that made me sick. Just envisioning sitting in the dark car, though. That's really scary to me. Yes.
Well, moving on. Well, I can't speak for anyone else, but 6 years ago, when I briefly moved back in with my parents who live in the foothills, we all had a weird experience that can't be explained. For context, my family is all Appalachian and grew up in places that still have dirt roads to this day, so we are all familiar with the animals in the area. The first night it happened, my mom comes running out of the bathroom and tells me to check my dog, that he sounded like he was out of his kennel and howling in pain. I run outside and down the hill to where his kennel and heated doghouse is, and he's curled up inside, sound asleep, nowhere near the house. Later that night, I hear someone screaming in pain, and like they were saying help. Then nothing. The following night, we hear my other dog just outside the window, but something seems off. It sounds like her low bark, but almost like a recording of it. It would play all the way through, then briefly stop and start again. No tone change, anything that is normal to a dog. Just the same repeat bark. Then, at the same time as the night before, I hear someone screaming in pain. So they heard it at like 12:30 and then again 12:30, the same screaming in pain and agony, asking for help.
Trying to lure them out there.
Yes.
Oh
First with
my
the dog, and the
God.
dog didn't work, and then with the screaming. My mom the following morning asks if I heard how weird my dog sounded and that she had no idea what was wrong with her, but she peeped out the window to look for her, but even though the sound was right there, my dog wasn't. Now my parents live in a holler. They live in the very back, and my grandmother and uncle live in a house closest to the road. Later that evening, my uncle flags me down and asks if I heard the massive wreck last night. He said that around 4 a.m., there was a loud crash like something massive was run over and damaged a car. He ran outside and down the hill and tried to find what it was. There were clear skid marks that the people driving were trying to avoid whatever it was, but nothing was there. He searched the ditches and the creek bed. That was during the time others in the area reported seeing some strange antlered creature. My friend, who was headed into her job at a farm, was driving through around 4:30 a.m. when something came out of the bush just a couple miles from my parents' house. She said at first she thought it was a deer, but it was over 6 feet tall, walking upright, and had a human body that was severely emaciated, which is what other people reported seeing. Do what you will with that story, but the Appalachians are one of the oldest mountain ranges in the world and runs all the way into Scotland. Who's to say that fae or other worldly beasts haven't been trapped here for eons?
Okay, this one seems a little bit more real to me. With the entire community having something going on,
Yeah.
it feels like whatever that thing is just trying to get someone to come out of their house and get to the right spot.
It felt very fairy-led kind of vibes.
It's
for
like,
me.
come out here and let me grab you.
Yes.
Ah, I don't like it. I don't like it. That just freaked me out.
Seeing a 6-foot-tall deer-headed man on your way to work, like you're just trying to go to work.
I'd quit my
You have
job
to
that
get
day.
up so early. You're driving at 4:30 in the morning, just trying to go to work. I'd probably turn around.
No call, no show. I would keep driving and never return.
Just into the abyss.
I would call a mover and be like, here is how you get into my house. Break whatever windows you have to. Pack it all up. I'll meet you across the country.
That's hilarious.
There's nothing you could do to convince me to be in that area again. Like if I actually saw something like that, pack it up. I'm moving. I'm done.
So honestly, okay, so I thought fairy. That made sense to me, but also something like when we talked about skinwalkers,
Mm-hmm.
like kind of like a mid-transition skinwalker kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah, that's the vibe
And
I
that
got.
scared me. So some kind of witchcraft or something going on. Yeah.
Too much for me.
I didn't like it.
Nope. Not at all.
I'd never go outside after sundown. If I
I
lived
would
there.
never go outside. Ever.
Just in general. On to the next story. I've always thought that there were logical or scientific answers for all of these paranormal phenomena, and probably always would have, if not for the 2 nights I spent at Pierce Pond in June. Both nights were exquisite in temperature and weather, and no bugs, which at the time I found quite odd. In hindsight, it seems important. I was alone, had a great campfire, and played my harmonica and sang the first night. As the embers dimmed, I sat on the edge of the lean-to, writing in my journal as the night sounds started to get my attention. They were just different, and I knew someone or something was about. I could feel it. Through the moonlight, I could see something that kind of took me aback, and I sat as still as possible while trying to slouch into my sleeping bag. There is no doubt it was a figure that was moving across my sight between me and the pond. It was definitely the form of a spectral, woodsy outdoorsman type with a small pack and what appeared to be fishing gear. The figure faded into the night, and I woke refreshed and relieved to be on the trail in such a beautiful location. I thought about heading out as my first experience like this had me unnerved. But the day was beautiful, and I mostly forgot about it as I stayed on to enjoy another day. But as my campfire lit the trees around me that night, this same woodsy character reappeared, and as the fire crackled, its eyes turned toward me, and I was truly frightened for the first time in my life, and I ran up the hill away from the lean-to and didn't stop till I could barely breathe. I finally had to slump down next to a tree and wait for the morning. When daylight came, I found my way back to the lean-to, packed up, and went to Tim's for pancakes and told him what I had seen. He'd heard of this too. It seems for years this vision has been haunting a wide area of Maine, although he was unsure if it had ever caused any trouble. What really freaked me out about this one is it looked at him.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing to just kind of be a residual haunting, just this
And
old hiker, something just
For
going
you
to
to
fish,
see it.
and
Yeah.
for you to see it. But it saw him. It scared him enough to run away, leave all of his things, and run away and come back morning time to gather his stuff.
I have this weird fear of having to run away from something and then have to like hide or slouch down or whatever they said by a tree to catch my breath or something, because I've seen so many movies like that.
Yeah.
And it's always like very scary to me. But the fact that they said everything scary or paranormal, they always try to find the scientific way or whatever, I was like, oh, okay, so I could believe this person.
Yeah. And there was just nothing. There was nothing for him to chalk it up to.
So was it a ghost, or is it just like the entity that haunts that particular area, no matter who you are?
In my mind, it was a spirit. What do you mean by entity that haunts the area? Like ghost or what?
I don't know. Like, was it a real person, or is it just a thing?
Oh, like was
stays
it once
there?
a person?
Yeah.
Like it's a spirit of a human?
Yeah.
Or is it
Just
something
a
else?
thing that gets your attention, and if you actually interact with it, it'll get you.
Oh, I don't even want to know what would happen if they called out to it or something.
Mm-hmm.
Because you'd think like you're camping out there and you saw someone, you'd say like, hey, like especially if they saw you or something.
Not me.
But for it to scare them so badly, and this is a logical person who doesn't believe in the paranormal, antenna up and get freaked out, you know?
Yeah.
So on to the next one. One night I was set up and it seemed like it was ready to storm. It was very humid and oppressive. I either fell asleep or was dreaming or I was awake. I'm not sure. But what I do know is that there was a small cemetery below, and that's where I heard the woman's voice. She said, "You know it's raining heavy down in insert town's name. Be careful." I woke up and nothing was happening for about half an hour. Then, suddenly, a heavy thunderstorm rolled in. I was stealth camping and no one else was around. Was I being warned? Another time in New Jersey, I saw what looked like a black and white picture of another backpacker coming at me. I just stood aside and he passed me by and disappeared. Nothing was said.
Is this dreams?
The backpacking? No. Like he was walking along the trail and saw this like hazy black and white-ish image of a person walking toward them.
Oh my god.
And he just stepped aside and let them pass, and then they disappeared behind him.
Okay, so this isn't cryptidy. This is like
Ghosty.
yes. Oh wow. But why black and white?
I don't know.
That's really interesting, because at first
The way that it presented itself like that?
yeah, because why? Why black and white? Why wouldn't it just be like
A regular, yeah. I don't know. I truly don't. Because I'd never really heard a story like that.
me neither?
Of a black and white or
'Cause if-
sepia
Yeah,
colored ghost.
Because if you see like a black mist or a black fog or a shadow, I get that. But you see the person with the backpack.
And it was just devoid of color, which somehow makes it creepier for me.
Yes. It feels really ominous. It's like almost, I don't know, like it's replaying their last moments.
Yes.
And you're seeing it as like, I
They're
don't know,
walking down to whatever took them.
either that or they died up there and they keep trying to come back down.
Oh, that's so sad.
I don't know. But that's scary. Warning about the thunderstorm. Was that a dream?
They didn't know. So
But they heard it.
they knew that they were relaxing and they didn't know if they'd fallen asleep yet or not. They weren't sure. But they heard a woman's voice and they believed it came down from the cemetery saying, "Hey, it's about to rain. Be careful."
And it did rain.
And it did. They woke up and it started raining, like really heavy thunderstorms right after that.
That's interesting. I feel like it was a dream.
But a very spiritual dream.
Yeah.
Like
Which that one doesn't freak me out really, because it's like, hey, looking
they
out
were
for you.
looking out for you.
Yeah, but
the black and white ghost,
I don't
whatever
even know.
that was.
I don't even know what to
Ghost
make
devoid
of
of
that.
color? No.
Do y'all
I
know
don't
what that
either.
means? Anyone listener?
Yeah, because
What does that mean?
I've never heard anything like that before.
Me neither.
Appalachia's
But it makes me
a weird place.
feel very, because like I feel like I can see it in my mind and I don't like it. And I feel like the person's like smiling just unknown
Yes.
to what they're. I feel like we're seeing the same thing.
I think we are. I feel like we always are.
I know.
Moving on. Once I was with a girl on Big Frog Mountain at dusk, miles away from anywhere. We decided to walk up a trail, when right behind the car, I stepped in a mud puddle with odd-looking light brownish water. I pointed out the unusual color to her when we started walking. Not far up the trail, she started getting scared and we went back to the car. In the car, we started making out while lying in the front seat, and she had her hand draped out the window. I felt an odd sensation in my back. It had happened before when people were behind me, and told her to pull her hand in, which she did. A few minutes later, I felt the sensation on my back again, but it felt more urgent. I rolled her window up, but continued with the makeout session. A few minutes later, it felt like someone had stuck a live wire in my back. I sat up, started the car, and headed back down the mountain. She was obviously confused and asked me what was wrong. I replied that I didn't know, but something was off. We went back to my parents' house and were assured by them the family was okay. So they assumed like something's going wrong out in the world. Like something is wrong. I don't know what it is. So let's make sure my parents and family's
check
okay.
on everyone. Yeah, I get it.
Having calmed down some, we ate a little dinner, then started to leave. After I opened the car door for her, I walked around the back of the car. While walking, I glanced at the back of the car and saw handprints, the same color of the mysterious mud puddle on the car. The last one was over the back window, and it was obvious someone was watching us while inching their way to the front driver's side window. When I saw the handprints, it was like being hit with a lightning bolt, and I knew what had happened. Cold chills ran all over me. This story is the absolute truth, so help me, and I will never forget it.
Oh my God. Okay, it can either be, some creature or cryptid or ghost, or it's a person. Either one is equally terrifying.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. Even if it's just a person, it doesn't matter.
Because they're stomping around in the mud and touching things, and I don't like it.
You know what first came to my mind is in I think it was the Ouija board episode, the story. You know which one I'm talking about? The aunt who, she had drowned in New Orleans.
Oh.
It was tapping on the window.
Yeah.
That story, it came to my mind because it was just like this wet, muddy, dripping, creature-y thing creeping around the car with its hands against watching them through the windows unknown to them. That's what I thought.
I'm so scared.
Just wet hair. You know how we talked about just like a wet spirit is just a creepier spirit? That's what I pictured. But it was like muddy wet hair.
You didn't have to say that.
You know?
Yep, you didn't have to say that. I wasn't even thinking. I wasn't thinking it was bald, but I didn't need to think about the hair. I'm sick. I'm sick. What did it want? Was it going to kill them? Was it going to scare them?
Whatever its intent, I believe what I got out of it, malicious.
Sinister.
Yes.
Oh, I'm scared. Was it a creature? Do we think it's a creature?
I don't think so. I don't know.
We think it's a person? Just an Appalachian person?
Hopefully not. No, I don't know. I felt like, okay, I'm kind of on the fence of creature or entity, like spiritual realm entity of some kind.
I don't know. Either way, that just gave me an instant headache. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all.
I've been thinking. That's one of the ones I've been thinking about for a while.
I get freaked out very easily, as you know.
Yes.
And I got a new car, and the windows I've noticed when I turn around to back up or anything, whenever I'm not using strictly the backup camera, which is a habit I'm trying to break, I just I notice I can see a lot of the space around me. These windows are big. So now I'm freaked out. I don't want big windows. I don't want to turn around and see handprints. I'm really scared now. Tomorrow morning, that early gym session is going to come in a scary way.
I'm so sorry.
I'm not ready.
I don't like being out at my car at night anyway. I just feel extra vulnerable.
Yes, me too.
I'm always. So I don't know if this was a movie or if it was just some kind of urban legendy story told when we were younger. Sorry, we're going on a tangent here. But there was a story that I was told when I was young, and it was this girl was driving down the road, and someone behind her kept flashing their lights, and she was getting pissed off, and she's like, "Oh my God, what is wrong?" So eventually she pulls off into the
I know what you're talking about.
A gas station or something, and she gets out because the car pulls up behind him. She's like, "What is wrong with you? Get inside and call 911 right now. Come on!" And they run inside, and it's like, "I'm sorry, I was flashing you, but every time I flashed you, whoever was in your back seat ducked back down." And I think about that every single time I leave your house at night. I'm literally like...
Well, guess what? It won't be dark when you leave today. I check the back seat so many times. Well, first of all, I made it to where when I get close to my car and I unlock the door, all the lights in the car turn on. So I can see back seat, front seat.
Yeah.
I can see it all.
I don't have enough lights in my car, and I've got a third row. And it blocks the trunk. So I never know if anybody's crawling over back there and crawling across the floor of my back seat behind me. I'm always so scared.
See, I was really sad that I had to get a new car. That's a story for another day. I ruined my Fiat that I loved so dearly. But since it's an actual trunk, it's not like an SUV thing.
Yeah.
I feel safer. Which I miss.
I would too.
I miss having that, back area. But I can only have to worry about, okay, backseat, nobody's back there. Cool. It feels a lot safer to me.
I miss my old car too because it was smaller and I could see everything. And yeah.
But yeah, I'm petrified. And I'm going to have a bad time in the morning. So
I'm so sorry. You can call me if you want.
Oh,
Can't promise I'll be awake.
I was about to say.
But you can try. On to the next one. Now that we're sufficiently freaked out, thank you for listening to my tangent of my childhood fear. While camping near Yellowstone, I met a man who ran a privately owned campground. He started chatting one morning and he was telling me how he spent 2 to 3 months on the Appalachian Trail, starting in Georgia and moving north. He begins telling me how one day he found a cut off the trail, an old carriage road or something, and that it was pretty quiet. He starts telling me how one day he's hiking and begins hearing branches and twigs breaking off trail to his side. Being the only one there, he suspects animal. According to him, he sets up camp that night and begins hearing the same noises around his campsite. Well, he begins to get sketched and decides he'll rest quickly and get back on the trail. Morning comes and he hits the trail again and begins hearing the same noises. He begins telling me he starts to get even more freaked out at this point. And he seemed pretty legit, getting emotional and whatnot, not over dramatic, but you could tell he was affected by recalling this. The dude tells me he starts picking up his pace on the trail and the noises begin to keep pace with him. Finally, he reached a ranger station, which was closed. He says he was so freaked, he was ready to break in when a ranger pulls up and sees him distraught. He starts explaining what was going on, and supposedly, the ranger tells him he's surprised he made it that far by himself and lets him in the station. He gets inside, and the ranger shows him a storage area with around a dozen packs that he claimed to have picked up with nobody around. Now, the story gets weird, and I feel the guy is full of it. But again, he seems pretty emotional. He claims that while in the station, him and the ranger hear something on the roof, and he starts mimicking the sounds this creature was making. Pretty much just really strange and obnoxious creature noises. He claims it was Mothman or an alien or something. I have no clue what this dude was recalling, or if he was full of it, but he seemed convincing. If this is true, if the story is true, he went into the ranger station with the ranger, and the ranger pulls open this door and's like, I found all of these out there on the trail, nobody around.
That was the first thing I was going to bring up.
So many people go missing in national parks and stuff every year. So many people. Mm-hmm. And to just find their packs lying about.
In the
never
same area?
them again. Yeah, in the same area, multiple over the years. That freaked me out.
Why did he not, look into it? He's just like, oh, another backpack today. Again, you'll never catch me on, a true hike. Not like a
that.
true hike.
Like a camping kind of hike?
No, never.
Sometimes I wish that I could be that kind of person. Like hearing the story earlier of the guy who's like, it was a peaceful, beautiful night, no bugs, playing my harmonica, the fire's going. That sounds lovely if it's cool enough.
Mm-hmm. No. I've never.
Or have you ever read Wild or watched the movie Wild? I think Reese Witherspoon's in the movie.
No.
Where she goes and hikes the Pacific Trail, something.
No.
I read the book and just her, it was an experience. It was a real book. It was someone's real, true experience. And the experience was life-changing for her. And I want something like that, but I wouldn't survive.
I feel as though I get that same experience just eating
your kibble?
No, not my kibble. My cookies and cream cheesecake ice cream.
Okay.
That's euphoric to me.
Okay.
And I don't need nature.
Interesting.
I don't need to go on a hike. I don't need to fulfill some nature-y need within my soul because I don't have it.
I don't know that it's nature for me. I don't know. I need to find that thing. But the way she wrote about it, I was just like, wow. That's amazing.
That's great. And I love that for anybody that's into that. I think that is so cool of you to do so.
Yeah, I find it very awesome.
I've never had the desire. Never. Not once. But I admire those who do.
What do you think was on the roof?
It's some kind of Appalachian creature. See, I believe that there is something. I just don't know what yet.
Yeah.
But I think it was some kind of
I think there are some things.
Yes.
There are multiple kinds of things out there.
It could be, I've seen people that have lived in that area for generations and generations, and they this might be way off, but they inbreed and they become very genetically different, and
those are very one-off weird cases, like the family that lives out in the
and they bark
cave and
that we know of. Because what if instead all these people,
you know what this reminds me of?
What?
The Descent.
Yes.
The cave people?
Yes, that's exactly what I was getting at.
Okay.
Yes. They were once normal
family
humans.
In the 1700s.
Yes. But they shut off from society somehow, and now they're out here just grabbing people.
You think so?
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised. Was it you that told me that they're like the cave system in America matches up with like large swaths of people going missing?
Yes.
That's interesting to me.
It's very scary. If you like layer those maps, it's like very interesting. So maybe there's cave people. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Okay.
But
Google cave people of Appalachia.
I bet there's something. I know that there's somebody that lives in this general area watching this right now. Tell us your story.
Oh yeah.
I need to know.
Please.
Do you know cave people? Or is it all ghosts?
Probably not. If they're cave people, they're probably not out and about.
That we know of.
So on to our last story. So this one scared me because, well, I'll just say, you'll see. This is our last story. One time for our anniversary, my boyfriend and I rented a cabin somewhere in Blue Ridge, Georgia. We get there and it's nice. The cabins aren't really placed in the woods, but rather overlook the woods, meaning there's no trees around the cabin and the forest is actually below the cabin down a very steep hill. You think you're safe, right?
Yeah, sure.
It was super cute and cozy, and when night came, it was still just fine. I'm a little superstitious, and so is my boyfriend. So we more or less understand those unspoken rules of the forest. But my boyfriend got a wild hair and jokingly let out the shortest, faintest whistle in the night-filled trees.
Okay.
We went back inside, and I locked all of the doors and windows and drew the curtains, and eventually we went to sleep. I remember drifting off to sleep when I heard 3 solid knocks on the front door, evenly placed, loud and clear.
It's always 3.
I ignored it and decided it was the ice maker in the fridge. And after a while, I thought I heard rain, and I thought it was so atmospheric and cozy to be in a cabin with my boyfriend while it rained. Perfect ambiance for sleep. And then it dawned on me. There weren't enough raindrops for it to be rain, and the raindrops seemed to travel from one side of the roof to the other. It wasn't rain. Something was walking on the roof. There was nothing else it could be. The cadence of the steps and the sound being isolated to where this thing was walking. I tried to explain it. Maybe it was an animal, but no animal would hop across the roof like that at night. No animal would sound so much like 2 feet walking. The cabin is also 2 stories tall, and there are no trees near the cabin. The roof is flat metal and no place for an animal to nest. There was no real way for an animal to get onto the roof and no reason for it to make such noise at night. The next morning, my boyfriend asked me if I heard the noises too. Neither of us could figure out what it could have been, and it didn't show back up the second night we stayed. Don't make noise at night. Don't whistle. Don't sing. Don't talk. Don't yell. You don't know what's listening.
Oh my God. The way to end the story. First of all, I was going to say divorce, but you said boyfriend. We're breaking up. The second you whistle, I'm getting in the car. Because why are you playing like that? Don't play with me like that.
No, that's something Jake would do.
Oh, and divorce. I'd be done. There's no way. Don't play around with me. It always confuses me in stories like this when people are like, did you hear that last night too? Are you not holding on to each other so tight your bodies are about to morph into one because you're so scared? Is that me? Like, I would wake someone up.
I don't know. Depends on how scared I am. Like, if I'm truly like think maybe someone's breaking in or something, then I'm waking Jake up. But if it's just me and I'm like, I'm the only one hearing this. Like, if it's ghosts, I'd wake Jake up to tell him I'm afraid of a ghost or something. He's gonna be so mad. I'll just let him sleep and talk about it in the morning. So,
you know what,
I don't know.
You know what sucks for me?
What?
If I wake Ryan up and say, I heard a scary noise, he's scared too. It's like, it makes me so mad. And I've said this before because he doesn't watch the pod because he's scared of these things. So if I woke him up and I was like, there's tapping on the window, he'd be like, oh God.
Just like cuddle up together.
Yes. And he'd be scared. So whenever I hear people say like, oh, did you hear that last night too? I'm like, you're not, wake up. Because I am.
I don't make noise. If I hear something really scary, unless it's
I'm going.
Like, unless it's like really, I feel like we might be in danger.
You're about
or something,
to be attacked.
No, I don't say anything. I just lay there with eyes wide open in the dark, cover up to my chin, just like.
Yes, I'm doing that, but I'm also violently shaking the person next to me, like, please, because
I know. I grew up with you, and
true.
We talked about how you used to come into my bed.
I was gonna say I would just leap into your bed,
not even touch the floor around your room.
Yes, I'm levitating all the way to your bed. Because it's
flying.
Accurate. It's accurate. It probably took. It's realistically probably 15 steps from my bed to yours. It probably took me 3. I'm like just leaping, triple jumping to your bed. But yeah, no. I don't know what that is, and I don't want to find out.
See, you think you're safe. Like you said, camping, like I like my own bed. I like a hotel. They're in a cabin. They're indoors. They've got all the amenities.
A hotel where there are tons of people there. If I'm screaming, someone's going to hear me. First of all, Strangers is one of like my favorite movies ever. I'm not staying in a cabin.
Dude, Strangers scares me so much.
I don't even like staying in an Airbnb. Like when I've gone for friends like birthdays or bachelorette parties and things, I hate staying in an Airbnb. It always feels terrifying to me.
Really?
Yes, because first of all, who are you renting it from? They could just show up and be an axe murderer. You don't know. They have full keys and they know who's staying there.
That's true.
Why would you do that? Cameras. Also, strangers. Because we're home.
More fear into my heart. Thank you.
You
just like poured a dose of fear into me.
I am fear and disgust.
Both.
That's my only two feelings. So no, that's not relatable.
Like in the hill country, they'll have cabins that are like glass all around. And I'm like, wow, that would be so beautiful. But then I think about this and like at night, I don't think I'd sleep.
And When a Stranger Calls, that movie?
Yeah.
The glass house that she's in?
Yeah.
No. If I could build a home out of solid concrete.
You could. If you
no, like floors and everything. Like there's no way for even a speck of dust to get in. I would. Because I hate outside and I would like to be a hermit. I'd like to be Bubble Boy.
Particularly after this episode.
I really would.
You're so weird.
This is why it would be a disaster if my employer found out about this podcast. Could you imagine? I'm like, I am Bubble Boy. And he's like, oh, so...
You think he'd make it this far into the episode, though?
Probably.
You think he'd watch
Well, my coworkers would, for sure.
Yeah.
So, the day they rip my wig off by finding this podcast is the day that I just have to quit the job. I couldn't quit this. I just have to quit the job. This doesn't pay, but I'd have to quit and just do this.
Town.
I would have to.
The picture of them ripping your wig off.
Well, because I am Hannah Montana. That's how I would feel.
Yeah.
I'd have to be like, it's me. You know? That's how I would feel. Okay. So it just can't happen.
For now, you get the best of both worlds then.
Okay.
That's where we'll leave you.
I don't even know what we're talking about anymore.
I'm not sure either. I like that we do this at the end of the really creepy episodes because we just kind of go off on a tangent to kind of console ourselves.
Yes.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you've got any stories from Appalachia, honestly, please.
Because I'll believe you more than I believe the internet people. I mean, technically, I guess you are internet people, but I would believe you.
Yes. We'll believe our fellow ghosties.
Yes.
If you're on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe because we've got more coming. Really exciting things in the works. And leave a like on this video. If you've made it this far, what's another good emoji? What's a good Appalachia emoji? A mountain?
Is there like a
cave person?
Yeah.
There's
what
no
is
cave
there?
person.
Leave a rock emoji.
Leave a rock emoji.
Or a bubble.
Or just anything you like, I guess.
Okay, no. Leave a mountain emoji if you actually made it this far. Because last video, some people actually did. And I was like, ooh,
I know.
I felt special. I felt really cool.
And if you're on podcast, give us a 5-star review. Help us kind of spread ghosties out there to the world. Share us with your friends if you know anybody who likes this kind of stuff. And if you have any stories you'd like to share with us, you can email them to us at ghostiespod@gmail.com. And other than that,
goodbye.